Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So now that reform are actually starting to gain some power, they're starting to win by-elections and also local elections. They're starting to actually gain some responsibility to actually show all the rhetoric you've been spilling before these elections. How are you actually going to fix this problem that you're complaining about? Because it's one thing being able to criticize people in the position of power. It's another thing being actually be able to find solutions to these problems. Because they, to themselves, at the very least, they believe they have all the answers to every problem in the UK right now. So now that they're actually being questioned, you're starting to see like a pattern of like problems that actually is reoccurring because they don't have answers to problems. But before we get into today's video, remember it will be massively appreciated if you drop a like on the video. Also, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe. Let's get into it.
Just a couple of points, really. So, yeah, I agree. I think reform, the only thing we hear from them is big statements. We're going to do this. We're going to stop the boats. We're going to make the working class person feel better. But what you never seem to answer is how. There's never a clear plan. There's not even a two-step plan. Just to say, how are you going to do it? And actually, a lot of your councillors are inexperienced. It's their first time in local government. So just saying they're going to do it and they're going to work smart is not really enough. You know, if I applied for a job and I just said, hire me because I'm great, I wouldn't get the job. I need a reference, I need backup, and I need
Exactly one of the problems with reform, right? Listen, right, they've shared like some favorable moments, right? Because I always say one advantage they have over all political parties is the fact that like they've never had a reputation that can actually hurt whatever it is that they're actually doing. The Conservatives have tarnished their reputation for 14 years. But these guys, they're like the new kids on the block, right? They've never actually seen them in power and the wicked. We've never actually seen them, hey, you said you're going to do this, but the last time you promised you were gonna do this. You've never done that before. But now that they're actually in power, it's like okay, they're starting to gain more seats in the local election, right? That happened like a week ago. Now they're actually being put in a position whereby they actually have to perform. Now the questions are being asked. They don't really have an answer to it. That's literally the problem with the whole party. It just seems that oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Okay, how would you get it done? They don't seem to have an answer. That's the problem right there. That's literally like such a problem. I don't know why they've been for so long they've been propping up and like making this party as big as possible. Yet they don't have an answer to these questions.
facts to show I've done it before. In terms of Labour, I think Labour are completely missing the point in saying we're going to go harder and faster so that people can feel the change that we're talking about. No, what you've done in the last 12 months has completely betrayed the people that have voted for you. The people that want change, the hardworking people, the compassionate, kind people that want a good life for everyone. But actually what you've done is given us Tory light. You've gone more right wing. What we're saying to you is, no, go to the left. That's what we want. Why is it that the last 12 months, the people you've decided to target are the disabled, the poor, the old, all of the vulnerable people? They're your electorate.
I don't like. I find this very weird when like people on the left always like reiterate this point. I don't actually understand what they actually mean by this, right? Because okay, yes, they have targeted the poor people or the disabled people, right? But they also have targeted the people that are actually middle class and actually making more money than the people that are actually working class people, right? Like the taxes on like private schools, right? That obviously affects middle class and upper class people. The inheritance tax on farmers, the worth over 3 million pounds, right? That's a tax, and that's like a levy upon people that actually own like a very valuable asset. So like these taxes and these like also the national insurance tax, right? Increasing the national insurance tax, that obviously affects the people that are obviously employing people, because when you employ someone you will pay the national insurance tax on the person you're employing, right? So obviously these also have affected people that are in like financial situations that are obviously well off. So it's been both sides that have been here, but these people on the left, they don't actually seem to take that into consideration. Like yes, sure, they have obviously increased like some level of like financial difficulties on people that are working class, but they've also done it on the other side as well. Like I don't understand why they keep like, I don't know if they're forgetting or like they're just not trying to like point that out. Like, cause they've hit both sides. That's what I'm saying. Like to actually fix the problems, both sides will need to be hit, and they've done that. But these people, they don't seem to point that out.
They're the ones that you should be in support of, not penalising them.
Okay, let me hear from the man in the black top.
I just find it incredible what Richard Tice is saying there, because what we've seen with Brexit, under every single metric, our country is poorer. It's a fact. And everything we're trying to do on the outside of that is just, nibbling away at the edges. So when people say we have no money in our pockets, Brexit and what you stood for has caused that.
Absolute
And then
nonsense.
Absolutely has. It absolutely has. Like every financial institution literally came out saying that if UK was still part of the EU, then the wages wouldn't have stagnated as much as it did. Okay, like every financial institution literally came and said that the UK will be better off financially for the working class, and average salary would be much better off if it was part of the EU. Like, I don't think there's anyone that can actually disagree with that. And obviously, they keep pointing to the fact that, oh, look, we got 10% tariffs from America, so therefore, like, Brexit was good. It's like, yeah, after like 6 years, like, Brexit clearly hasn't helped the financial people, that the financial situation of the average working person. It clearly hasn't. How these people are still denying that is actually like hilarious.
Hang on. Richard, you have to let people have their say. You've had a long speech already.
Yeah.
We have to hear what other people have to say. Yes.
And then when you're talking about an Indian trade deal being an issue, hang on a minute. I thought you said we're supposed to trade with the rest of the world. There's big opportunities. And as soon as there's a deal with another country, then yet you're complaining about it. Like, it's hypocrisy at its finest. And I think, we've been duped. We've been duped as a nation. Brexit was the biggest con to enforce economic sanctions on ourselves, and it's affected every single facet of life. And that's a fact.
Absolute fact. Absolutely. Like, when you say, oh, we want Brexit so we can actually make individual choices, right? We don't have to get sucked into like any EU decision making. We want to make any decision. We want to trade with the countries that we want to trade with. All right, we got Brexit. Thank you very much. Now we want to trade with India. It's like, oh, why could you trade with India? It's like, but that's the whole point of Brexit, so we can actually choose who we want to trade with. Now that we're doing it, you're still angry. I don't understand. And also, whatever deal it is that you're complaining about that the UK is having with India, they've also had it with other countries as well, which totally makes sense. So, like, it's on one hand, they're complaining about, oh my God, we should have Brexit. We should be able to make independent choices. Now we're making independent choices. Like, oh my God, how can you make that choice? It's like, yeah, that's the whole point of Brexit. Thank you very much for actually making us have Brexit. Now we're using what it means to be outside of the EU.
And I know there's a lot of Brexit remorse. It's not about, it's not about ideology towards the European Union or anything like that. They're our closest trading partner, and we've lost so much because of it, and we're suffering because of it. And that's a fact. Now, when people say we knew what we voted for, this is what we voted for, guys. We voted to make ourselves poorer in the name of perceived sovereignty.
Yes, perceived sovereignty, just for the sake of sovereignty.
And can I just say one more point? With the winter fuel, I think if you look at it, the Labour communication has been absolutely shocking. If you think that there's been less than probably just under 1 million people who needed it but didn't have it, but then we have people who were means tested who have it, then that's where there's a disconnect. So actually, if it is important, which it is, then actually you should be saying, why have we got people who have it, supposed to have it now, who haven't been claiming it, who aren't means tested? So that needed to be communicated in a much more cohesive, better way.
I mean, you've had two people now talk about, these trade deals, whether you like them or you think they're not good for the government. The fact is, they're not in any way improving the economy as much as it would have if we'd stayed within the EU.
No, I disagree with that entirely. Brexit is a great opportunity. The fact that we're doing a trade deal is because it's a Brexit benefit. You couldn't have done that if you're part of the European Union.
You can say that. The problem with saying that is that it took a madman and a mad decision from Trump to put tariffs on every single country that trades with America for us to be able to get the benefits of the Brexit. Okay, so we can't gain the benefit of Brexit by people following the rules or being economically literate. It took an economically illiterate person for us to be able to get the benefits of Brexit. That just tells you everything about it. Okay, so when they keep saying that, oh yeah, well, we're getting the benefit of Brexit, I was like, yeah, number one, 6 years on after the whole Brexit situation, yeah, thank you very much. It actually took 6 years. And number two, this situation, the situation where we're benefiting off, it wasn't a situation where it was like, oh my God, like this is actually amazing. It's like, well, tariffs have been put on us. We have no choice. We have to find another trading partner because we're desperately in need of a different trading partner that is different to America. That's the reason why we're gaining the benefits of Brexit. That should just tell you everything about it. It literally It's only beneficial when there's a desperate situation. That tells you everything about it.
You know, this deal, the information we've got so far, it's work in progress. It'll be a partial trade deal. I do think, James, you should take the message back. We should be given a full debate on it in the House of Commons, and we should be given a vote on it. But look, this is work in progress. Let's see what the real detail is.
Don't worry
Hang on.
about the
You've
cost
had
of
your
living. It's
chance,
work
Joe.
in progress.
Right. OK, and so it's a partial trade deal. Things have been excluded, like hormone-treated beef. I mean, take cars, for example. The truth was that previously we were charging 10% on imported cars from the US, and yet the US was only charging 2.5%. So there was a mismatch there. The right place to get is to get to 2.5% or 0%. So
No, you don't do trade like that. It makes no sense. Okay, the reason why there's a tariff placed on American goods for that in the first place, because you don't want to buy cars from that country in the first place. They're not as efficient as other countries. That's the reason why. Like, you can't just say, oh, they put 10% tariff or 2% tariff on us. Oh, we can only put 2% on as well. That makes no sense at all.
But there's a mismatch now in that
Well,
we
no,
are paying
now
more
it's
to send
levelled.
stuff over there and then
Exactly.
less to
Now
send
it's
stuff
been
over
levelled,
here.
and it's been levelled at 10%. We obviously want to try and negotiate it down. And these things don't all happen at once. They take time. We want to get it negotiated down to zero because we export some great cars to the US. But let's remember, the US is a fast-growing economy. It's grown a lot faster in the last 15 years than Europe has. And it's just worth reminding to those who think that Brexit's a bad thing, you know, Germany is in recession. Most of the EU is in recession. It's doing a lot worse than we are. We're spluttering and struggling. Why would you want to handcuff yourself to a recessionary economic zone? You want to actually target...
Because you would have been probably better off than what you are right now, okay? Being in a bad situation is obviously subjective, okay? The bad situation that the UK would have been in would have been less bad if it was part of the EU than not being part of the EU. That's the main point. They don't seem to understand that. The fact they're still championing Brexit is actually hilarious.
high-growing economies around the world, whether it's Asia, whether it's Australia, whether it's America, whether it's Canada. That's how we can get more jobs, faster growth. But the truth is that, as someone just said, relative to the overall domestic economy, these, you know, our exports, I mean, America is our biggest single trading partner. But remember, where we get the surplus on our exports to America...
As an individual country, obviously,
as an
EU
individual
is
country,
our biggest
yes,
single trading
but where we
partner.
get the biggest surplus with America is actually in services, where there are no tariffs. So you've got to look at it all in the round. Something is better than nothing. I think this is good work in progress.
As you can see, these lot, they still reiterating the same rhetoric. Oh, Brexit is good. Brexit is still good, regardless of how bad it's been. No, trust me, it's actually still good because now we can make a good situation out of a very, very bad situation. Oh no, immigrants are still the cause of every single problem in the UK. So therefore, you know, we need to stop the boats. Like, stop the boats. Brexit is amazing. That it's still the same rhetoric, and they still don't have any real answers as to how they actually going to fix any of the real problems that they keep complaining about. Because they're always the first to criticize the Labour Party or the Conservative Party. They're always the first to criticize them. But when it's time to actually put down your policies, how would you solve these problems? They don't actually have the answers. But that's just my thoughts on the video. Remember, if you like the video, drop a like. It will be massively appreciated. And also, if you have any disagreements, put it down in the comments. And also, subscribe.